This is the very early morning. It's 20 after 1. This would be part 2 of Joe Rogan calls out Erika Kirk. This is just mind-blowing. Have a listen. It'll play for a little over 20 minutes.
Within minutes, journalists confirmed that the handwriting looked exactly like the widow's. The comments section went feral. She planned the takeover from day one. This isn't grief, it's a coup. And then at 3:17 a.m. at Truth and Done dropped the file everyone had been waiting for, a full recording. Nearly 7 minutes long, the voice of Charlie Kirk's widow came through crystal clear, mid-conversation with a public relations consultant. "People pity widows," she said flatly. "I can leverage that. Charlie was good at outrage, but outrage dies. Sympathy lasts forever." The consultant's nervous laugh filled the silence. "You're saying you want to build a new platform?" "Exactly. His followers trust me. They already think I'm protecting his dream. All I have to do is redirect the donations." The clip went viral before anyone could verify it. Within an hour, 1 million retweets. By sunrise, mainstream news outlets were calling it the sympathy scandal. Rogan reposted the clip. Meanwhile, the widow's PR team scrambled. Her official statement called the audio deepfake manipulation. But analysts quickly pointed out that the cadence, tone, and background noises matched her previous interviews perfectly. A forensic specialist told News Nation, "If that's a fake, it's the most sophisticated one ever made." Then came the twist nobody saw coming. An email leak from the widow's own foundation account surfaced on Reddit. The subject line read, "Damage control strategy urgent. Taxed. Was a bullet point plan suggesting she should launch a sympathy campaign, cry during interviews, and frame Rogan as misogynistic for attacking a grieving wife." The email signature, hers.
Why?
Yeah, she's done. So is J.D. Vance.
Her defenders began to waver. Conservative commentators who had once praised her started quietly deleting tweets. One high-profile ally went on Fox News and admitted, if these leaks are real, she's finished. Still, the widow refused to back down. She booked a primetime interview on a rival podcast network to tell her side of the story. The teaser clip dropped on social media that evening. In it, she said tearfully, "I've been bullied by powerful men who hate to see a strong woman leading." But the full interview never aired. Hours before it was scheduled to go live, the network abruptly pulled the episode, citing new information that could compromise editorial integrity. Rumor had it that they'd received another audio file, one even worse than the last. That same night, Rogan posted a cryptic message. She forgot the mic was still on. The internet collectively gasped. He was hinting that there was another recording dot when it finally dropped. It was devastating. The audio captured the widow in a private conversation with an unnamed board member. Her tone was flippant, mocking. "They keep calling him a hero," she said, referring to her late husband. "But heroes don't pay the bills. I do." Then came the part that changed everything. "Delete his old speeches," she continued. "We need less Bible talk and more branding. Christianity doesn't trend. Influence does." The line hit the internet like a lightning bolt. For a woman who'd built her reputation on faith and family values, mocking Christianity was the ultimate betrayal. Conservative media imploded. Pastors who had once invited her to speak condemned her publicly. Donations to the foundation dropped by 80% in a single day. One headline summed it up perfectly. From holy to hollow, the fall of Charlie Kirk's widow. But Rogan wasn't celebrating. On his next show, he looked directly into the camera and said, "This is what happens when truth meets power. I didn't do this. She did." He played the final 30 seconds of the clip, the widow's voice, low and venomous. "People want a martyr," she said. "Fine. Let them worship one." The silence afterward was deafening. Fans flooded the comments. I got chills. She used her husband's death for clout. Rogan just exposed the darkest grift in American politics. Within hours, the widow's social media pages vanished. Her verified accounts deleted, her website taken offline. Reporters outside her mansion described SUVs arriving and leaving through the night. Nobody knew where she was. But then the final twist. Early the next morning, Rogan received an anonymous package at his Austin studio. Inside was a flash drive and a handwritten note. 3 words, "There's more coming." The files on that drive contained video footage, grainy, but real, showing closed door. Meetings between the widow and 2 men identified as major political donors. In one clip, she said, "We can rebuild the brand without his ideology. Just keep the name." That footage never aired. Rogan said on air that he'd turned it over to legal experts for verification. But the hint alone was enough to ignite the internet again. Everyone wanted to know what else was on that drive. Who sent it? And how deep did the manipulation go? The widow finally broke her silence with a single post on a newly created account. "You think you know the truth? Wait until I tell mine." The message got 10 million views in an hour. Rumors flew that she was planning to release her own recordings audio that would prove Joe Rogan had been played. The cliffhanger was set. 2 sides, both armed with tapes, both claiming to hold the real truth. And as Rogan ended his next episode, his words sent a chill through every listener. "If she's got tapes, I'll play them. But if she's lying, I'll end this once and for all." The war wasn't over. It was only beginning by dawn. The internet had turned into a courtroom, and Joe Rogan and Charlie Kirk's widow were both standing trial in the court of public opinion. Every social feed was dominated by a single question: who's lying? The divide was vicious. On one side were Rogan's army of listeners, millions, who believed he'd uncovered one of the most shocking manipulations in political media history. On the other were the widow's defenders, powerful names, wealthy donors, and ideologues desperate to contain the fallout before it burned their entire network to ash.social. Media erupts. Twitter was a war zone. Hashtags like hashtag Kirk Widow Scandal, hashtag Rogan Tapes, and hashtag Sympathy Scheme trended for days. Thousands of tweets flooded in every hour, screenshots of the leaked recordings, theories about donor corruption, even memes turning the widow's calm voice into villain quotes. She's like the Cruella de Vil of conservative politics. One tweet read, "Joe Rogan just did more journalism than every mainstream outlet combined." Wrote another clips of Rogan's statement. "It's not grief. It's greed dressed up as legacy," became an anthem. Fans remixed it into TikTok sounds, rants, and parodies. Meanwhile, conservative influencers scrambled to do damage control. Candace Owens tweeted,
"Not sure what to get that person that..."
Another ad popped up.
"Be careful when powerful men target widows. Sometimes truth is just bullying in disguise." Ben Shapiro posted a cryptic line. "There's a difference between corruption and strategy." People conflate both when they want outrage clicks. The widow's fan base echoed their defense. But Rogan's fans were louder, more relentless, more unified. Every attempt to defend her only brought more scrutiny. The media, torn into mainstream outlets, didn't know what to do. CNN ran a headline, "Joe Rogan crosses line with unverified accusations." Fox News countered with, "Kirk Foundation faces growing backlash amid audio leak." Even independent journalists were divided. Some called it an expose of moral rot. Others called it an opportunistic pylon. But what tipped the scales was a massive bombshell from Politico. An in-depth investigation revealing that several of the widow's closest allies had quietly stepped down from the board. 2 days after the first leak, the timing was damning. The resignation suggested there was truth behind Rogan's claims. One anonymous source told the outlet, Everyone inside knows there's more coming. The leaks weren't random. They were premeditated. Someone close to her wanted her gone. That line became the new viral talking point. Who betrayed her? Celebrity commentary floods in Hollywood. And political personalities couldn't resist weighing in. Elon, they want you to worship fake people. They sell pain as profit. Joe exposed that. Rogan's name became a lightning rod, praised as a truth teller by some, branded a destroyer by others. Memes of him wearing a journalist's trench coat flooded timelines. The man who broke the widow became both a compliment and a condemnation. But behind the memes, the widow's silence spoke volumes. After deleting her accounts, she resurfaced only once through a spokesperson who claimed she was in hiding for her safety. That statement only made things worse. The public smelled guilt. The industry fallout inside the conservative media ecosystem. Panic was spreading like wildfire. Donors froze their contributions. Event organizers canceled galas. Speaking tours were postponed indefinitely. A leaked memo from the Kirk Foundation's PR team read, "We cannot sustain this level of reputational damage. Containment is failing. Prepare for legal exposure." Board members reportedly demanded an emergency audit. Investigators began tracing where millions in donation funds had gone. And what they found, massive consulting fees, rooted to shell corporations linked to the widow's private accounts, was enough to make headlines for weeks. Even her defenders started jumping ship. Former allies like Matt Walsh and Tomi Lahren distanced themselves overnight. Lahren posted, "There's loyalty, and then there's logic. This story stinks, and not because of Rogan." The dominoes were falling fast. Fans turned into investigators. Rogan's fans weren't just watching, they were digging. Reddit threads exploded with timelines, financial analyses, and dissected voice inflections. A user named U Audio Forensics Guy ran spectral analysis on the leaked tapes and confirmed no sign of digital tampering. His post went viral, turning internet sleuths into amateur truth warriors. TikTok creators recreated scenes dramatizing the leaked calls, portraying the widow as a calculating schemer sitting in luxury while deleting her husband's history. Even comedians joined in. One viral skit titled "How to Rebrand." Your husband's death for profit hit 10 million views overnight. The widow had become a caricature of corruption, a villain in the world's most public morality play. Rogan's empire grows as the controversy burned hotter. Rogan's platform exploded. His subscriber numbers skyrocketed. Sponsors lined up to advertise on the Truth series, a new run of episodes focused on corruption in political movements. Spotify, despite initial panic, quietly began marketing Rogan again as a fearless voice of authenticity. Behind closed doors, executives were calling the controversy the Rogan bump. But Rogan didn't gloat. He seemed exhausted, focused. In one live stream, he said, "It's not about destroying someone. It's about accountability. The public deserves to see behind the curtain, even when it's ugly." Public opinion turns ruthless by week's end. The Widow's Foundation had officially suspended operations pending investigation. Leaked documents revealed over $4 million in unexplained transfers. Every outlet reported it. The widow's face, once the image of strength and grief, now symbolized scandal. The comment sections turned savage. She didn't lose a husband. She found a business model. So what happens when you monetize mourning? But even as the backlash peaked, something about it felt unfinished. Too loud, too orchestrated. Some people started asking the question Rogan himself hadn't yet touched. If someone from her own circle leaked the files, who are they working for? Because now whispers were spreading that this wasn't just a personal scandal. It was political warfare. That the tapes had been released at a calculated time to take down more than one person. And just when the noise reached its loudest point, Rogan went silent. No tweets, no podcast, no statements. Nothing for 72 hours. Fans panicked. Commenters begged for answers. Then, finally, a teaser appeared on his YouTube page. Black background. White text. One sentence, it's bigger than I thought. That single line reignited the chaos all over again. If the widow's corruption wasn't the final story, what was? Because now, for the first time, people began to suspect that Joe Rogan himself had stumbled into something larger. A secret that reached far beyond one grieving woman's deception. And when he finally broke his silence, what he revealed would blow the entire scandal apart. When Joe Rogan finally broke his 72-hour silence, the internet was vibrating with speculation. Was he being silenced, sued, threatened, or was he digging into something even darker? At exactly 9 p.m. Eastern, a new video appeared on his official channel. The thumbnail was plain black. The title in white block letters, The Final File. The video opened with Rogan sitting in his studio, the room darker than usual, his expression unreadable. He took a deep breath before speaking. I've been doing this show for over a decade, he began. I've seen lies, scandals, politics, corruption, but what I've uncovered in the last few days, this isn't about Charlie Kirk's widow anymore. It's about who's using her. He paused, leaning forward. And trust me, once you hear this, you'll understand why I've been quiet. Then he hit play on an audio file. The voice that came through wasn't hers. It was a man's deep, deliberate professional. A voice Rogan said belonged to someone from very high up in political consulting.
Honestly, I tried the new...
That just popped up.
The widow's doing her job, the man said. She takes the heat while we redirect the funding. Keep her visible. Keep her sympathetic. If she goes down, we pivot. The tape continued. Another voice, faint, but identifiable as the widow's replied. You said I'd be protected? You will be. The man said, as long as the heat stays on you, the studio went silent again. Rogan's face hardened. That, he said quietly, is what manipulation sounds like. She wasn't the mastermind. She was the scapegoat. The internet detonated. Millions watched live as Rogan dismantled the entire narrative he'd spent 2 weeks exposing. He wasn't retracting the truth, he was expanding it. The widow might have been corrupt, yes. But now it looked like she was being controlled a pawn in a much bigger game of political funding. Image management and public distraction. Twitter erupted with disbelief. Rogan just flipped the story again. Says she's both the villain and the victim. This is bigger than we thought. Who's the guy in the recording? Within hours, amateur investigators started cross-referencing voices. Some claimed it matched the speech patterns of a well-known political strategist who had worked with multiple parties. Others swore it was an executive from a media conglomerate tied to campaign funding. Rogan refused to name him directly, but he didn't need to. The clues were all there. Then came the bombshell within the bombshell. Rogan revealed that the anonymous package containing the flash drive, the one labeled "There's More Coming," had been sent not from an insider, but from an external cybersecurity firm investigating dark Mooney networks. They had found evidence that the Widow's Foundation had been used to launder donations through a series of charitable subsidiaries. The goal: to manipulate elections. Rogan leaned into the mic, eyes cold. So yeah, she's a horrible person for using grief as branding. But the people who built her, they're monsters. That line broke the internet in half. Suddenly the conversation wasn't just about one woman. It was about an entire machine. Political operatives, media moguls, donors, everyone was under suspicion. Rogan had just blown open a conspiracy bigger than any of his previous investigations, but that's when things got even weirder. Midway through the broadcast, Jamie whispered off camera that something was happening online. Major clips of Rogan's live stream were disappearing, not just flagged, but wiped. TikToks, YouTube, mirrors, even screenshots were vanishing in real time. Rogan stopped mid-sentence and said, "They're doing it again. They're deleting everything." The live chat exploded. It's a cover-up. Download the video. Someone screen record this now? Thousands of people scrambled to archive the footage. But by the time the stream ended, over half of the re-uploads were already gone. YouTube issued a vague statement about privacy violations. Spotify refused to comment, and then, minutes after Rogan signed off. His Twitter account posted one final tweet before going silent again. If I disappear, you know why? That single sentence sent the internet into a tailspin. Conspiracy channels went into overdrive. Reddit threads tracked Rogan's last known location. Fans claimed his latest episode had been shadow banned from podcast charts. Anonymous accounts claimed to have more files, ones Rogan hadn't even touched yet. Meanwhile, the widow herself resurfaced. She uploaded a shaky video to a new social account. No makeup, no PR spin, just raw emotion. Her eyes were red, her voice shaking. "You think I wanted any of this?" She whispered. "You think I wasn't scared? They used me, and they'll come for him next." The video ended abruptly. Her account was deleted less than 10 minutes later. Every major news outlet ran breaking headlines. Charlie Kirk's widow breaks silence. "They used me." Joe Rogan hints at larger conspiracy behind political donation scandal. And just as the world thought it couldn't get darker, at Truth and Done, the mysterious account that started the leak cycle, posted one final message. The next file exposes everyone. Premiering soon, no date, no time. Just an image of a loading bar that read, "Processing 94%. The internet froze. Comments poured in. What's in the next file? Is Rogan safe? Was she telling the truth all along? Nobody had answers. Not Rogan, not the widow, not the millions glued to their screens. Because for the first time, both sides, the accuser and the accused, were united by one terrifying truth. Someone else was pulling the strings. And when that final upload finished processing, the entire media world would burn to be continued. And now you've seen it every leak. Every twist, every secret that Joe Rogan and the entire internet are still trying to untangle. But this story isn't finished. The widow's tears, Rogan's silence, the anonymous files, all of it feels like the opening act to something much bigger, darker, and far more dangerous. So before the next file drops, before the next deleted clip resurfaces, I need to hear from you. Do you think Joe Rogan uncovered a massive political conspiracy? Or did he fall right into the trap of a system that wanted him to be the distraction? And what about Charlie Kirk's widow? Was she a calculating mastermind or just another pawn in a game way above her pay grade? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Don't just watch this story, be part of it. The debates happening below this video will be what the media is talking about tomorrow. And you'll want your voice in the mix.
This is just beyond insane. I'll attach the link. Look at it. Pass it along, and thanks for listening.